all of it. With me now, Pastor Daryl Scott of Cleveland's New Spirit Revival Center. He supports Donald Trump. Also, he's the author of God and Government, Why Christians Must Be Involved in the Political Process. Conservative blogger Krystal Heath is with me. She plans to caucus for Senator Ted Cruz. And James Pindle, political reporter for the Boston Globe. Thank you all for being here. Krystal, let me begin with you. Our viewers just heard it, the change in position that Cruz has clearly taken on deportation forces in this country. Is that something you're going to bring up when you caucus for him tonight as a positive thing, or are you concerned it's seen as a flip-flop?
I'm not concerned that it's seen as a flip-flop. I don't think that it is a flip-flop. I think with his interview with Jake Tapper, he was asked specifically about sending people door to door to round people up in a mass deportation effort, which isn't something he supported. What he talked about last night was that he does support ICE and enforcing the laws that we already have. This isn't a new concept. It's not something that we've just come up with. Under President Obama in 2011, we deported 400,000 people through ICE. So ICE is not something new. It's not something Mr. Trump invented or Senator Cruz invented. It's just something that is part of our laws, and some people don't like it, some people do, but that's how it's written into our laws.
So, Krystal, it's really important that we clarify here because, yes, he did talk about ICE in that interview with Bill O'Reilly last night, but let me read you what else he said. Bill O'Reilly said, and you, President Cruz, are going to send the feds to his house, take him out, put him on a plane back to Ireland, talking about a hypothetical scenario of someone here illegally from Ireland. And Cruz said, quote, "You better believe it." So he was talking about going door to door last night.
Sure, but if you look at his response, he said that's what ICE is for. He wasn't advocating creating some new avenue or him personally going door to door. He was saying this is what ICE is for.
That semantics?
This is their job.
Isn't that semantics? It's about who goes to the door?
Sure, I think you could say that, but I think that is what both Trump and Cruz have advocated, is for ICE to do its job and enforce the laws that we already have.
All right, let's move on. James, to you. The Boston Globe today, your paper, granted the editorial board, to be fair, you're a reporter, they have endorsed John Kasich, and I want to read this to you. The highly qualified governor of Ohio and urged unenrolled voters. What they did is that they endorsed John Kasich. They have supported what they call highly qualified governor of Ohio, urging unenrolled voters to cast the Republican ballot for him instead of voting in the Democratic primary on the same day. They went on to write, each vote counts more so here than in some other states. One feature of the Massachusetts Republican primary is that it is not a winner-take-all race. Give us the context of this. You're coming to us from Massachusetts. Give us the context in which the editorial board wrote this and why right now.
Right, so the Massachusetts primary is on Super Tuesday, therefore it's next week, it's on Tuesday. One of 11 states that votes. In Massachusetts, like in many other states, you can either be a registered Republican, a Democrat, or unenrolled, or basically an independent, one who does not pick that party. In Massachusetts, that growth of that share of those who are unenrolled has grown and grown. It's now the largest voting bloc, and they can pick a Republican ballot or a Democratic ballot. And while the Democratic race here has been very heated, Bernie Sanders was just in the state for a couple of stops just yesterday. With the Globe's editorial board, which I'm not a member of, what they're arguing for is to not pick up that Democratic ballot to try to stop Trump. I think we're in a position right now where this race is going to become more inevitable for Trump if he wins tonight by double digits, even more so. So the question is whether or not in one place, in one state, can unenrolled or independent voters go along with the idea of stopping Trump. The problem here, of course, is that polling in every single state that we've seen is that these unenrolled or independent voters are going to Trump. So that this whole argument that the Globe is pushing may actually not be actually happening in reality.
Yeah, and there are many that say, Pastor, to you, you're a Trump supporter, look, it is, you know, if you're one who wants to stop Trump, that train has already taken off. But I do want you to listen to this. I want to play you some sound from Donald Trump talking about protesters last night, etc. Let's roll it.
I love the old days. You know what they used to do to guys like that when they were in a place like this? They'd be carried out on a stretcher, folks. Here's a guy throwing punches, nasty as hell, screaming and everything else when we're talking. And he's walking out, and we're not allowed, you know, the guards are very gentle with him. He's walking out like big high fives, smiling, laughing. Like to punch him in the face, I'll tell you.
All right, so when you hear that, I know you're a supporter of Trump, you're also a man of faith. Do you support that rhetoric, that language? Does it bother you at all?
Well, what I don't support is the behavior of the protester. I think it's
No, but
very
I'm
wrong
asking you, look, we'll get to that in a moment, but I
Okay.
just want to ask you about the language of the man you're supporting to be commander-in-chief. Do you support it?
I'm not going to say I support it. I'm not going to say I don't support it. It is what it is. Those are Trump's feelings. I can't dictate and determine how he feels about a situation. Will I have handled it that way? I don't know. I wasn't in that situation. I don't know what I would have said. But if I was trying to address a crowd at a meeting that I coordinated and I had someone that continued to try to disrupt what I was saying, that they came to my meeting with bad intent, then they would have to be dealt with.
All right, James, to you. It's interesting because you say, as all of us look towards Super Tuesday and the delegates that will be allotted then, if you will, you say, actually look past Super Tuesday. Look to March 15th. Why?
Yeah, so March 15th is the first time when you have winner-take-all states. That's where the real prizes are. And there are huge states at play. And by the way, this is the Marco Rubio argument. And so you have states like Florida and Missouri and Ohio and Illinois. And while up until then, including on Super Tuesday on March 1st, it's all proportional, winning does matter, there's no question about it, but you're splitting up the pie. When you start having 99 delegates, like in the case of Florida, all going to one candidate, you not only have momentum behind the candidate, but you actually have raw delegates. What this is all about, of course, is getting enough delegates as possible to become that party's nominee. So basically, this race could be over in 20 days.
Yes, it could.
Well, we'll see. It's certainly been anything but normal. Pastor, back to you. As a supporter of Trump, we were talking, our team earlier, and found it sort of fascinating and a little confounding as to why we're not seeing Trump go after Rubio harder. Why do you think that is?
Well, first of all, here's what I find amusing. It's the fact that when Trump first began his campaign, the national sentiment was that of amusement. It went from amusement to concern to fear to panic. Everyone's in a panic. Now it's almost a national alert. We're going to have to start putting colors on, like, are we at orange? Are we at amber? What alert are we at for Trump's candidacy? The reason he's going after Cruz more so is because, in my opinion, Cruz won the battle in Iowa, but the winning of that battle might have cost him the war because he irreparably damaged his credibility. And he comes across nationally as a liar, and it's almost as if every time he opens his mouth or every time someone in his campaign engages in a type of action, it further damages him. So he's wounded, and as a wounded lion, Mr. Trump is finishing him off. He's wounded, he's going to finish him off. You can almost stick a fork in Cruz. He's just about done. Rubio, he's next on the list.
All right, Krystal, to you. You have said that you would support any Republican besides Trump. What would it take for you to change your mind?
Well, honestly, I don't know if I can change my mind at this point. Possibly if he picks a very conservative vice presidential candidate to run alongside him, that would be possible. But right now, I just don't see a path to that. I don't think that
So would you sit out?
I love the things that Donald Trump says. I love what he says, but there's just not the history there. There's not the record to back it up. It just doesn't exist.
Would you, if you didn't like his VP choice and let's say he got the nomination quickly, would you sit out a general? Would you not vote? Or would you vote for the Democrat?
Well, I would vote. I wouldn't probably vote for the president, or I would write someone in, but I would definitely, everyone should always show up to vote, whether it's a primary, caucus, or general election. Even if there's not a candidate on the ballot that you want to support, there's other candidates there. There's down ballot races that definitely need our consideration. So I would always show up to vote. But whether or not I vote for Donald Trump, if he's the nominee, which I don't think this is over yet, I think we're jumping the gun just a little bit. We've got a long way to go to all the delegates that Mr. Trump needs, but we'll see. We'll see. I'll keep you posted on that.
Okay, please do. Krystal, thank you. James Pindle, thank you. And Pastor Darrell Scott, I appreciate the time. Coming up just before Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders face off in tonight's